Stop struggling. I'll cut you like a fish. Hey guys. Hey gamers. So it's another Words About Books. Words About Books is a poorly spoken podcast. I'm your host, Ben, and I am here.
Ben!
Shut up. Shut up. It's not your time yet. And I am here. Yeah, God, I didn't think this through. I am here as always with my co-host, Nate. Nate, how you doing, buddy?
I can't see. There's a bag in front of my head.
You don't need to see.
What's
it's a podcast. It's an audio medium.
Why does my head hurt? Why are you shouting at me? And why can't I move?
Okay, you're tied to a chair because we learned a few minutes ago, buddy, that you can't be trusted. Okay? So you're tied to the chair now. Because we're going to do a podcast, right? Like we always do.
I don't feel like this is how we always do podcasts.
It's a little different this time because I don't know if you know this, but it's Halloween. Do you remember what you did last Halloween? Because I remember what you did last Halloween. Trademark.
Oh, no. Oh, God. This is kind of what I thought was going to happen. Not the kidnapping and tying me to a chair part, but the next part that I'm assuming is about to happen.
What did you do? Tell the people what you did.
I read an H.P Lovecraft. It's awful.
But did you?
I mean, I stopped when it started getting racially unpleasant.
Yeah, you stopped, and then what did you do?
I became a fish person. The details are a little unclear. I think somebody may have bashed my head against my car as I was leaving work.
No,
I seem to vaguely recall this.
I mean, yes, that happened, but you went to Wikipedia. Dramatic reverb. And you looked up a summary instead of reading the text. Now, I don't know if you knew this. I mean, you should have because it was in the contract, but as we all know, you hate reading. So
that's true.
When you became a bookman, you are contractually obligated to read every book.
Oh, no.
Now, I'm not going to make you finish The Call of Cthulhu because you're not ready for that yet.
I thought it was The Color Out of Space.
I forget what the you read.
It was the one where the college professor is possessed by an eldritch thing.
Right. So, you should watch the Nick Cage movie. That was fucking hilarious. He's got alpacas, and there's no reason for it. There's no alpacas in the story. You're distracting me. You're trying to make me let you go. You're not going to get out of this, Nate. Okay.
Would it help if I try to seduce you? Would that get me untied?
No, because I know your heart's not in it.
I'm trying to swivel my hips at you. My legs are tied to this chair, but you can use your imagination, baby.
I always do. Anyway, so no, I went and I looked for a list from worst to best of H.P Lovecraft stories.
Oh, dear.
And I found amongst the worst, The Nameless City. No! Which many consider to be the first Cthulhu mythos story. And we're going to read it now, Nate. And I'm
finding now that you actually cannot swallow your own tongue.
The other great thing about it is it's in the public domain. So I can read it as many times as I want on a microphone. God. And I can show people this horror that you're reacting to. So, is your body ready for the Nameless City?
Well, since I can't move, I guess literally, yeah, my body is ready.
When I drew nigh the nameless city, I knew it was accursed. I was traveling in a parched and terrible valley under the moon, and afar I saw it protruding uncannily above the sands as part of a corpse may protrude from an ill-made grave. Fear spoke from the age-worn stones of this hoary survivor of the deluge, this great-grandmother of the eldest pyramid, and a viewless aura repelled me and bade me retreat from the antique and sinister secrets that no man should see. Jesus Christ, this sentence is still going. And no man else had ever dared to see.
Lovecraft is a very brave man. I assumed that this is just an unnamed Lovecraft narrator.
Remote in the desert of Araby? Is that what he's going with? Araby?
Araby? How is it spelled?
Araby.
Okay.
I think he's trying to use it as like an adjective for the desert, like it is an Arabian-like desert, or it's a desert in Arabia. It's desert, guys. It's desert in the Middle East. Lies the nameless city, crumbling and inarticulate. Well, it's been pretty articulate so far. I'm reacting to it now.
I thought it was saying fear.
Its low walls nearly hidden by the sands of uncounted ages. It must have been thus before the first stones of Memphis were laid, and while the bricks of Babylon were yet unbaked. There is no legend so old as to give it name, or to recall that it was ever alive, but it is told of in whispers around campfires, and muttered by grandams and tents of sheiks, so that all the tribes shun it without wholly knowing why. It was of this place that Abdul Alhazred, the mad poet, dreamed on the night before he sang his unexplained couplet. Are you ready for this? This is big Lovecraft shit. This is big Lovecraft shit right now. Okay. Are you ready? Like, people have tattoos of this. Okay, are you ready?
People have tattoos of this?
I guarantee if you Google this, I mean, you can't because you're bound and gagged. Not gagged, but you should have been gagged. Damn it. Okay, anyway. That is not dead which can eternal lie, and with strange aeons even death may die. It's weird
that's some powerful stuff.
It's weird that the mad Arab made it rhyme in English.
Well, English is the best language, and I guess they figured that out, right?
Big facts there. I should have known that the Arabs had a good reason for shunning the nameless city. The city told of in strange tales, but seen by no living man. Yet I defied them, and went into the untrodden waste with my camel. I alone have seen it, and that is why
and
no
your
other
camel.
And that is why no other face bears such hideous lines of fear as mine. Why no other man...
But you just saw a city. Like, you didn't even see anything in the city. You're just looking at a city.
Why no other man shivers so horribly when the night wind rattles the windows.
The buildings. Oh, God.
When I came upon it in the ghastly stillness of unending sleep, it looked at me.
Ah!
Chilly from the rays of a cold moon amidst the desert's heat. And as I returned its look, I forgot my triumph at finding it, and stopped still with my camel to wait for the dawn.
Like outside the city?
Yeah, he wouldn't go in at night.
Stop?
He wouldn't go in at night, that's what he's saying.
Yeah, the city's looking at him. Yeah, I picture that the building's just kind of turned towards him.
What might they be capable of?
Looking at you.
Which buildings don't normally do, so that's creepy. You're scared, right? You're scared right now.
Yeah, what if, what if it sees you, like, eating and drinking in the desert? What if it watches you pee?
For hours I waited till the east grew gray and the stars faded, and the gray turned to roseate light with gold. Shit, let me do that again. For hours I waited till the east grew... His sentences are so long. There's so many commas. Okay, one more take, and then we're just going with whatever happens. For hours I waited till the east grew gray and the stars faded, and the gray turned to roseate light edged with gold. I heard moaning and saw a storm of sand stirring among the antique stones, though the sky was clear and the vast reaches of desert still. Then, suddenly above the desert's far rim came the blazing edge of the sun, seen through the tiny sandstorm which was passing away, and in my fevered state I fancied that from some remote depth there came a crash of musical metal to hail the fiery disk as Memnon hails it from the banks of the Nile. My ears rang, and my imagination seethed as I led my camel slowly across the sand to that unvocal stone place. That place too old for Egypt and Meroe to remember. That place which I alone of living men have seen.
The building's looking at me, and it has no name. That's the real scary part. If it
it's
doesn't
really
have
old.
a name, what do you call it to your friends when you're telling the story later?
It's weird that the name of the story is the Nameless City, but it's scary, Nate, because it's old.
Has he even gone into the city?
It's too old. No, he hasn't gone in yet. Are you not listening? Do I need to
Hurry
read
up
it?
and go
Do I
into
need to
the
read it
city,
again?
bro.
Do I need to go back? I'm getting like Princess Bride vibes here, where like you're the sick kid, but instead of illness, you're bound with, rope. So anyway, we're going back in. And don't giggle at this first series of words. In and out amongst the shapeless foundations of houses and palaces, I wandered, finding never a carving or inscription to tell of those men, if men they were, who built the city and dwelt therein so long ago.
So he's actually in the city now.
Yeah, he's in the city now. It's
took him
spooky
long
because it's too old. It's too old for humans to have built.
But he waited. He waited until the sun came up.
Because it was that scary.
Is it too old?
Yes.
Has he mentioned that it's too old?
Frequently.
How does he know this? Has he carbon dated this?
I mean, I assume
Or did he just look at it and go there's a city out here?
Okay, so we don't know anything about the
weird.
narrator, but this narrator seems like the kind of guy who would know these things.
Yeah, it's H.P Lovecraft.
The antiquity of the spot was unwholesome, and I longed to encounter some sign or device to prove that the city was indeed fashioned by mankind. There were certain proportions and dimensions in the ruins which I did not like.
They were non-Euclidean.
They
were on a plane that was not flat, and it scared me.
I had with me many tools, and dug much within the walls of obliterated edifices. But progress...
There's a lot of archaeology characters. Did he want to be an archaeologist secretly or something?
I think he actually did, yeah. He was really obsessed with Egypt and ancient Greece, and I think he would have loved more than anything to be an archaeologist, but his crippling anxieties prevented him from traveling much abroad. Also, if you're deeply, deeply racist and terrified of brown people, probably don't want to go to Egypt.
I assume you also don't want to go to Greece. I think those are not white enough for his tastes. Really, the only way is England, but only parts of England.
Only England. Not Britain, England. Yeah, because he doesn't like the Celts either. Huh.
Anyway, where are we at with this impossibly old city that
ironically,
maybe just
Ironically, you didn't know this, but this is actually where we stopped. But progress was slow, and nothing significant was revealed.
Okay.
When night and the moon returned, I felt a chill wind which brought new fear, so that I did not dare remain in the city.
It's the desert, bro. It gets cold. And does he not know that?
And as I
Does he
went,
not know that the desert doesn't necessarily mean it's hot? It just means it's dry.
This is actually the second time he's referenced the desert not being hot at night is a scary thing. So it's entirely possible he doesn't know that. Anyway. And as I went outside the antique walls to sleep, a small, sighing sandstorm gathered behind me, blowing over the cold, gray stones, though the moon was bright and most of the desert still. I mean, goddamn it, Lovecraft, that is how it works, like with a sandstorm. Like, yeah, the sandstorm is where the sandstorm is and everything else is not sandstorm. I awakened just at dawn from a pageant of horrible dreams, my ears ringing as from some metallic peal.
Okay.
I saw the sun peering redly through the last gusts of a little sandstorm that hovered over.
So every time the sun comes up, does someone, like, play the cymbals or something? That's what it seems to come off as.
That hovered over the nameless city. And marked the quietness of the rest of the landscape. Once more I ventured into those brooding ruins that swelled beneath the sand like an ogre under a coverlet, and again dug vainly for relics of the forgotten race.
Where are you digging? Are you just digging in the ground at random trying to find stuff?
It kind of sounds that way.
Go inside one of the buildings and get some stuff from there.
At noon, I rested in the afternoon. God damn it.
What?
That's what it says.
At noon, I
rested in the afternoon. Oh, no. I'm sorry. I lied. That was...
Is it at noon I rested, period, and then
no,
in the afternoon?
You better believe it's a comma. It's always a comma. At noon, I rested, and in the afternoon, I spent much time tracing the walls and the bygone streets, and the outlines of nearly vanished buildings. I saw that the city had been mighty indeed, and wondered at the sources of its greatness.
Aliens. They couldn't have possibly built those pyramids, even though it's in a shape that's very easy to build. So,
it's shocking to me that Lovecraft is not referenced in more Ancient Aliens episodes. Because that's 100% what this is going to be.
We don't know how they built it, so it's got to be aliens.
It's not even that. It's
their achievements as a civilization.
It's not even that with Ancient Aliens. With Ancient Aliens, I personally, uneducated conspiracy theorist, don't know how they built the pyramids, so it's aliens. Like, someone has an idea how they built the pyramids. It's not like we don't have any conception of how they might have been done. It's just the theories are kind of wild. But it turns out that when you have generations of people who have to build a pyramid or you'll cripple or kill them, they get it done.
No, it's gotta be aliens. We don't know how they dragged those stones up a ramp that stones were designed to go up, but it's probably because the mothership beamed them into place. What might that be capable of?
Capable of charging batteries. Watch Ancient Aliens.
Oh. Is that why the aliens built it?
They think it's a power source. Well, it varies from episode to episode what they think it is, but there's one episode where they think it's a power source. Shapes are
Okay.
Shapes are power. Shapes are magic. So every episode of
That's
Ancient
true.
Aliens contradicts every other episode of Ancient Aliens. They really gave up a long time ago.
Well, to be fair, the audience will believe whatever. So just keep feeding them conspiracy theories.
To myself, I pictured all the splendors of an age so distant that Chaldea could not recall it, and thought of Sarnath the Doomed that stood in the land of Nar when mankind was young, and of Ebe that was carven of grey stone before mankind existed. All at once I came upon a place where the bedrock rose stark through the sand and formed a low cliff, and here I saw with joy what seemed to promise further traces of the antediluvian people.
Antediluvian?
Yeah, before the flood. That's another Ancient Aliens conspiracy thing. So, like, the biblical flood of Noah is recorded numerous places, so there almost certainly was a giant flood at some point in that part of the world. And
that means the whole world was covered in water.
Well, it definitely did wipe out certain cities. And so what might those cities have been capable of?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
They might have been capable of not being able to protect their residents from being killed by floodwaters.
Yeah. Tell you what they couldn't build. Seawalls.
Yeah, that sounds like the aliens kind of fucked up here.
Well, okay,
with all their
so-
advanced technology, they couldn't stand a little bit of water. Hey, it links up with signs.
Here's the deal, Nate. Here's the deal. Aliens come down, right? And they give you just enough technology to carve stone in an interesting way. They don't give you antibiotics. They don't give you electrical power. You better damn well believe they don't give you space flight. Just enough to carve rocks in a way that mystifies ancient astronaut theorists. What about that sounds ridiculous to you that you're laughing right now? Why are you laughing right now? You're rude. That's what you are. You're rude. You're a guest in my dungeon, and here you are just laughing at me. Okay. So,
Are you an ancient astronaut theorist?
I have theories. Hewn rudely on the face of the cliff were the unmistakable facades of several small, squat rock houses or temples, whose interiors might preserve many secrets of ages too remote for calculation. Though sandstone...
Okay, how does he know this? I feel like he's just doing what the ancient alien guys are doing. They're just like, well, we don't know, so it's gotta be aliens. But, like, he hasn't done any research. He's just randomly dug holes and confirmed that nothing is buried in the ground.
Okay, look, Weird Tales doesn't have enough pages for H.P. Lovecraft to start doing research, okay? We got 5,000 words to get this done in, okay? Now I lost my place because of you. You jerk.
I think you're close to the end. I think there's, like, a paragraph left.
Though sandstorms had long since effaced any carvings which may have been outside. Very low and sand-choked were all the dark apertures near me. But I cleared one with my spade and crawled through it, carrying a torch to reveal whatever mysteries it might hold. When I was inside, I saw that the cavern was indeed a temple, and beheld plain signs of the race that had lived and worshipped before the desert was a desert. Primitive altars, pillars, and niches, all curiously low, were not absent, and though I saw no sculptures nor frescoes, there were many singular stones clearly shaped into symbols by artificial means. The lowness of the chiseled chamber was very strange, for I could hardly more than kneel upright, but the area was so great that my torch showed only a part at a time. I shuddered oddly in some of the far corners, for certain altars and stones suggested forgotten rites of terrible, revolting, and inexplicable nature, and made me wonder what manner of men could have made and frequented such a temple.
What might they be capable of?
When
they
I had
could build things that I assume are weird looking.
When I had seen all
Did
that
he
the
find
place
any
contained,
tiaras?
I crawled out again, avid to find what other temples might yield. You're ruining it. You're ruining it. Oh, no. Things are progressing, Nate. I hope you're ready for this next bit.
Oh my god. Is he gonna find a Shoggoth?
Oh, you. Night had now approached. Yet the tangible things I had seen made my curiosity stronger than fear, so that I did not flee the city from the long moon-cast shadows that had daunted me when I first saw the nameless city. In the twilight, I cleared another aperture, and with a new torch crawled into it, finding more vague stones and symbols, though nothing more definite than the other temple had contained. I like how there's just like, it's like a Starbucks across the street from a Starbucks. There's just temples on temples on temples.
And they've got weird symbols. What if they're just like hieroglyphics? He's in Egypt.
He's in Arabia.
Oh, okay. So he hasn't really said where in Arabia he is, because
you better
then
believe
he can have natives. This was a bad time to be in Arabia. This is post World War I, right?
It was written in 1921.
Yeah, so post World War.
The room was just as low, but much less broad, ending in a very narrow passage crowded with obscure and cryptical shrines. About these shrines I was prying when the noise of a wind and my camel outside broke through the stillness and drew me forth to see what could have frightened the beast. The moon was gleaming...
The camel?
Yeah, something scared it.
Okay.
The moon was gleaming vividly over the primeval ruins.
It was looking at me.
Lighting a dense cloud of sand that seemed blown by a strong but decreasing wind from some point along the cliff ahead of me. I knew it was...
Like wind is being generated from the cliff?
I'm unclear what he's trying to... If I had one criticism, it would be fewer words. Like
maybe
more,
a period here and there.
Yeah, more words.
Just one long run-in sentence.
More words does not necessarily equal more literature. I know you never went to college, Lovecraft, but I'm just throwing that out there. It's actually harder.
I thought he went to college, but he failed.
No, he went to high school, but he dropped out.
Oh, that's right. He failed out of high school, and then he said he couldn't go to college because of something else.
Because he was sick.
I mean, he was sick. I'll give him that.
He obviously had some kind of anxiety disorder, but I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to punish you by reading this story to you.
So he's decided to work through his anxiety by going to somewhere in Arabia to look at some temples and dig some holes.
I knew it was this chilly, sandy wind which had disturbed the camel.
Okay.
And was about to lead him to a place of shelter when I chanced to glance up and saw that there was no wind atop the cliff. How did he see wind?
That's a good point. I was like, wait a minute. What?
Well, it's okay because this astonished me and made me fearful again. But I immediately recalled the sudden local winds I had seen and heard before sunrise and sunset, and judged that it was a normal thing.
These buildings, who knows where they came from, but this wind? I'm a meteorologist, okay? I know that it's just normal. This is what happens. I can't see the wind, but, like, I know it's there.
I mean, that's true of
coming
wind.
from the cliff.
That actually makes...
see the wind up on the cliff.
So that's true of wind. Like, you can't see it, but you know it's there, which actually makes it sound oddly terrifying. I wonder if Lovecraft was afraid of the wind.
I'm trying to say, like, he makes it sound like, oh, this is a normal thing that you can. But how are you looking at a cliff and going like, the wind isn't there?
I guess maybe the sand's not blowing around up there.
How far away is this cliff, and how high up is it?
Oh God, I'm not going back.
I mean, I know he looks like a bird, and maybe he has eagle eyes, but I can't imagine that.
He looks like a bird. He looks like a fucking Easter Island statue. What are you talking about?
I was gonna say a penguin.
He does look like a penguin. I decided that it came from some rock fissure leading to a cave, and watched the troubled sand to trace its source, soon perceiving that it came from the black orifice of a temple a long distance south of me,
Wait, there's
almost
another
out of
temple?
sight.
Like a third temple?
It's a very religious city.
Okay, alright.
Also, some of these might not be temples, but he's just assuming.
Also, how does he know that the wind is coming from there?
He watched it.
Is he looking at it?
He watched
Is that how he's determining? Maybe the problem is
Do I need to go back and reread this for you? And watched the troubled sand to trace it to its source.
Okay. So the wind is very, very specific. Like, it's stirring up sand, but like in a straight line only, and not up on the cliff.
It's like a cartoon. It's swirling away into the sand.
Does the sand swirl up into like a hand, and then it's like a come hither, like the finger is drawing him in?
Against the choking sand cloud, I plodded toward the temple, which as I neared it loomed larger than the rest, and showed a doorway far less clogged with caked sand. I would have entered had not the terrific force of the icy wind almost quenched my torch. It poured madly out of the dark door, sighing uncannily as it ruffled the sand and spread about the weird ruins. Soon it grew fainter.
Why does he have a torch? Why not a flashlight?
Maybe... Oh, no, it's a real torch. I was going to say maybe he's just British.
We both know that he both loves and hates the British.
As he both loves and hates himself. Soon it grew fainter, and the sand grew more and more still, till finally it was at rest again. But a presence seemed to stalk among the spectral stones of the city, and when I glanced at the moon, it seemed to quiver as though mirrored in unquiet waters. I was more afraid than I could explain. Well, you're certainly trying.
Yeah.
But not enough to dull my thirst for wonder.
Okay.
So as soon as the wind was quite gone, I crossed the dark chamber from which it had come. This temple, as I had fancied from the outside, was larger than either of those I had visited before, and was presumably a natural cavern, since it bore winds from some region beyond. Here...
Is that how you know it's natural? Because wind is born from it?
Yeah, duh.
Okay. I can see how I'm the idiot here.
Obviously. Here I could stand quite upright, but saw that the stones and altars were as low as those in other temples. On the walls and roof I beheld for the first time some traces of the pictorial art of the ancient race. Curious curling streaks of paint that had almost faded or crumbled away. And on two of the altars I saw with rising excitement a maze of well-fashioned curvilinear carvings. As I held my torch aloft, it seemed to me that the shape of the roof was too regular to be natural, and I wondered what the prehistoric cutters of stone had first worked upon. Their engineering skill must have been vast.
It couldn't be natural. Okay, alright. Oh, when is he gonna start wondering at, like, the pedigree of these people's genetics? I'm waiting for it.
Then a brighter flare of the fantastic flame showed me that for which I had been seeking. The opening to those remoter abysses whence the sudden wind had blown. And I grew faint when I saw that it was a small and plainly artificial door chiseled in the solid rock. I thrust my torch within, beholding a black tunnel with the roof arching low over a rough flight of very small, numerous, and steeply descending steps.
So I wasn't really paying attention, but he keeps talking about how these altars are really small, while failing to divulge that he is in fact 20 feet tall.
I shall always see those steps in my dreams, for I came to learn what they meant.
They meant that people wanted to go down, and also up. So they built steps.
At the time, I hardly knew whether to call them...
This is the scariest thing. Like, I'll always see those steps in my dreams. I can just imagine him laying in bed. And you see just he's like a cartoon. He's going and then there's just like a transparent set of stairs coming to get him.
At the time, I hardly knew whether to call them steps or mere footholds in a precipitous descent.
I didn't know what to call the steps.
My mind was whirling with mad thoughts, and the words
slides
and warnings of the Arab prophets seemed to float across the desert from the lands that men know to the nameless city that men dare not know. And yet I hesitated only a moment before advancing through the portal and commencing to climb cautiously down the steep passage, feet first, as though on a ladder.
Feet first.
What other way would you go? Fucking head first? What are you doing?
Handstanding his way down the steps.
I think he means he's going down like a ladder, like he's got his hand on one step and then his foot on the other step.
I think he means that he's walking and he's using his feet. Maybe that's why he doesn't know what to call them, because it's really a ladder, but he's too stupid to notice that.
Oh, here's
Maybe that's why the steps are coming to get him in his dreams. He keeps thinking it's a ladder, or vice versa, and they're just mocking him for not knowing what they are.
Here's the quintessential H.P Lovecraft has never done drugs part. It is only in the terrible phantasms of drugs or delirium that any other man can have such a descent as mine. The narrow passage led infinitely down some hideous haunted well, and the torch I held above my head could not light the unknown depths towards which I was crawling.
That sounds like drugs to me.
I lost track of the hours and forgot to consult my watch. Though I was...
I forgot to consult my watch.
Though I was frightened when
Why did he leave that in? Why didn't he just go, I lost track of the hours, period?
More words,
like, I had
more
a watch.
words, more literature. That's the rule.
I lost track of time. I had a watch, but I just didn't, look.
Okay. All right. Though I was frightened when I thought of the distance I must be traversing, there were changes of direction and of steepness, and once I came to a long, low, level passage where I had to wiggle my feet first along the rocky floor, holding my torch at arm's length beyond my head. The place was not high enough for kneeling, and after that there were more steep steps, and I was still scrambling down interminably when my failing torch died out.
Oh my god!
I do not think I noticed it at the time, for when I did notice it, I was still holding it high above me as if it were ablaze. I was quite unbalanced, with that instinct for the strange and the unknown which has made me a wanderer upon earth and a haunter of far, ancient, and forbidden places. In the darkness there flashed before my mind fragments of my cherished treasury of demonic lore. I'm sorry, I gotta read that one again.
Yeah, what?
In the darkness there flashed before my mind fragments of my cherished treasury of demonic lore. Sentences from Alhazred, the Mad Arab. Paragraphs.
Oh god, the Mad Arab again. That's where I remember this guy from. Didn't he write the Necronomicon or something?
You better believe he did, buddy. Paragraphs from the apocryphal nightmares of Damascus. The infamous lines from the delirious mind. Okay, no, I'm sorry, I gotta do this again. All right, I'm doing the whole thing from the top. In the darkness, there flashed before my mind of... Damn it. In the darkness, there flashed before my mind fragments of my cherished treasury of demonic lore. Sentences from Alhazred, the Mad Arab, paragraphs from the apocryphal nightmares of Damascus, and infamous lines from the delirious image of Du Monde of Gautier de Metz. I repeated queer extracts and muttered, I don't know what this word is, but I'm guessing it's racist. Okay, it's not bad. I repeated queer extracts and muttered of Afra-Sahib and the daemons that floated with him down the Oxus, later chanting over and over again a phrase from one of Lord Dunsany's tales. Yeah, he belongs in this company.
Who?
Oh, Lord Dunsany is like one of the first like fantasy genre fiction guys. Like he wrote fairy stories and stuff.
And he's being lumped in with like the Mad Arab and a Greek scholar.
Yeah.
Okay.
So later chanting over and over again a phrase from one of Lord Dunsany's tales, the unreverberated blackness of the abyss. Once, when the descent grew amazingly steep, I recited something in a sing-song from Thomas More until I feared to recite more. I don't know how I'm going to do this in a sing-song.
What?
Here, I'm gonna try reciting this sing-song from Thomas More.
Is he still in this cavern?
Yeah, he's going down these stairs, man. A reservoir of darkness black as witches' cauldrons are when filled, with moon drugs in the eclipse distilled. Leaning to look if a foot might pass down through that chasm I saw beneath. You cannot sing-song this. As far as the vision could explore.
He was good at sing-songing. He just said he did it.
The jetty sides as smooth as glass, looking as if just varnished o'er. With dark pitch, the sea of death throws out upon the slimy shore.
So he's still walking down these steps, and his light is out. Still.
So I've read this story before.
He's on drugs.
I've read this story before. I don't remember it. So I'm going to make a prediction that the story ends at the bottom of these steps.
Yes, I was going to say, I'm going to make a prediction. He gets to the bottom of the steps, he sees something, and then he runs away very quickly.
You're absolutely right.
The end.
Yeah. I think I'm with you on that. So let's see where we go. Time had quite ceased to exist when my feet again fell to level floor, and I found myself in a place slightly higher than the rooms in the two smaller temples now so incalculably far above my head. A lot of things are incalculable to him.
He's not a very good scientist or mathematician.
Yeah, these things...
Leave him alone.
These things could be calculated. You need a better word for, like, very high, very old.
It's incalculably high.
Like,
in the sense that, like, I don't have a ruler on me?
We can calculate the distance of, like, stars in another galaxy from us. So, like, it's calculable how high this fucking staircase is. Oh, yeah. narrow staircase and calculate how far above my head. I could not quite stand, but could kneel upright. And in the dark I shuffled and crept hither and thither at random. I soon
At random?
I soon knew that I was in a narrow passage whose walls were lined with cases of wood, having glass fronts, as in that Paleozoic... Or no, as in that Paleozoic... How is this sentence meant to be read? As in that Paleozoic and abysmal place, I felt of such things as polished wood and glass. I shuddered at the possible implications. Alright, so you know why that's scary.
Okay, alright.
You know why that's
Explain
scary,
this to me.
What he's saying is
That there's fancy stuff down at the bottom of this cave, and that's weird.
that it's too old to, like, humans didn't exist when this stuff was built. We're doing that again.
Okay, well, first of all, he has yet to prove that to me. But it is strange that there's polished shit at the bottom of a cave in the middle of nowhere. Like, one time, my friend said he and his friend went into, like, an abandoned house, and the house was in kind of disrepair, except for one room had a bunch of locks on it and looked new. And that's like, okay, that's creepy. That means people have been coming here, and they shouldn't be. So, like, I get why polished wood and whatever at the bottom of a cave in the middle of the desert is weird, but I have yet to see compelling evidence that this is just, like, too old.
This is just funny. Like, for my own purposes of reading this, I copied and pasted the text into a Google Doc, and Google desperately wants to correct the grammar. Oh, it's so fun. I don't know where I was.
There's some polished wood at the bottom of a cave, and he shuddered at the implication.
The cases apparently ranged along each side of the passage at regular intervals, and were oblong and horizontal. Okay? Hideously, like coffins in shape and size.
I don't think I would describe coffins as, like... Are they oblong? I mean...
Not really. No. But these are.
Okay.
They're curvilinear.
Right.
They're curvilinear, Nate.
Curvilinear.
They're curvilinear.
The wind is blowing from them. I can tell.
When I tried to move 2 or 3 for further examination, I found they were firmly fastened.
Oh my god.
Okay, I do have one issue. Like, his torch is out, right?
Yes.
How's he going to examine anything?
I think the implication is there was light and he just didn't realize it because he thought it was lit the whole time.
Okay. That's creepy. That's scary.
Yeah, but it's lit like a torch. So it's like an orange light. It's not that creepy.
Home stretch. All right.
All right. Where's the monster that's going to scare him?
I'm going to go ahead and say there is no monster. I'm going to go ahead and say that the coffin-like things contain some kind of, like, stasis-preserved individuals of this ancient race, and that's the twist.
Oh no. And if they're stasis preserved, he can't just like elbow drop their face or anything, like smash their head.
They do seem like they were tiny people, so maybe wake one up, grab him, and just carry him up. Anyway, I saw the passage was a long one, so floundered ahead rapidly in a creeping run that would have seemed horrible had any eye watched me in the blackness. I would be horrified to watch H.P. Lovecraft try to run. Crossing from
I imagine it's like Phoebe from Friends.
Fun fact, I have never seen Friends.
That's fine. You could probably Google.
Yep, okay.
Is that accurate?
I think that's too athletic. Crossing from side to side occasionally to feel my surroundings and be sure the walls and rows of cases still stretched on. Man is so used to thinking visually that I almost forgot the darkness and pictured the endless corridors of wood and glass and its low, studded monotony as though I saw it. So he can't see.
So why did he think the torch was lit this whole time?
He didn't... that's a good question, because he's insane. He's like, I was so distracted by what I was doing, I didn't realize I lost all vision. So, okay.
I thought
this is obviously...
So maybe he's just an idiot.
No, he is definitely an idiot. So this is the...
He's a scientist, Ben.
This is what's going to happen. He's already in the horrible thing, but it's completely black. So that's the twist. Nobody would go into this room if they couldn't see what was going on, if only because they'd get lost in some underground maze in a city that they went to by themselves and no one knows they're there.
So he's an idiot and
he's going to die here. Yeah.
But wait, okay, so if he's going to die here, how does he see stairs in his dream?
He's okay. He'll make it out somehow. I don't know.
He'll run up those same stairs.
I don't know. Is it Shadow over Innsmouth? Or one of his stories ends with the guy writing like, "I can hear them at the door."
That's not Innsmouth, because that's the one where he's like, "Turns out I'm a fish man.
Bye." Man is so used to thinking visually that I almost forgot the darkness and pictured the endless corridor of wood and glass and its low monotony as though I saw it. And then, in a moment of indescribable emotion, I did see it. Again, that is one sentence. It starts with the word and it... Just when my fancy merged into real sight, I cannot tell. But there came a gradual glow ahead, and all at once I knew I saw the dim outlines of the corridor and the cases, revealed by some unknown subterranean phosphorescence. For a little while, all was exactly as I had imagined it, since the glow was very faint, but as I mechanically kept stumbling on ahead into the stronger light, I realized that my fancy had been but feeble.
Okay.
This hall was no relic of crudity. This hall was no relic of crudity, like the temples in the city above, but a monument of the most magnificent and exotic art. Rich, vivid, and daringly fantastical designs.
And there was a color I've never seen before.
And pictures formed a continuous scheme of mural painting whose lines and colors were beyond description.
Did they tell the story of the civilization's rise and fall in vivid detail?
The cases were of a strange, golden wood with fonts of exquisite glass and contained the mummified forms...
Wait, how is he seeing this? Did he ever solve that problem?
Yeah, there's a fucking subterranean phosphorescence.
Oh, okay. Okay, my bad.
That is genuinely your bad. I'm giving you gold here, Nate. Speaking of gold, the cases were of a strange golden wood with fonts of exquisite glass and contained the mummified forms of creatures outreaching in grotesqueness the most chaotic dreams of man.
What? So he doesn't have dreams of these things, but he does have nightmares of some steps.
You should have seen those steps, bro. They were like hella steep.
To the point where he had to go down them feet first? Question mark?
To convey any idea of these monstrosities is impossible for a writer of my skill.
Yeah, that's agreed.
I added some words to that sentence.
Oh, okay.
To convey any idea of these monstrosities is impossible, period. They were of the reptile kind. He found...
So you did describe them.
He found the reptilians. Well, that's Lovecraft's thing. It's indescribable. Let me tell you what it looked like. Oh my gosh. Okay. They were of the reptile kind, with body lines suggesting sometimes the crocodile, sometimes the seal. It's not a
I don't think that's
It's
a
not
reptile,
a reptile. but often nothing.
You know how in Edenverse we just kind of smashed some creatures together and made a new one?
Yeah. It was half reptile, half crocodile, half seal. You know, that terrifying, universally beloved, adorable creature, the seal. It was horrifying.
So Lovecraft is afraid of seals and also thinks they're reptiles.
It
is the
took
takeaway message.
It took the shape of some kind of puppy mixed with a kitten. I couldn't bear
what
to
a
look.
horrible fish!
Okay, so yeah, sometimes the seal, but more often, nothing of which either the naturalist or the paleontologist ever heard.
So it's part crocodile, part seal, 100% something other.
I think you just described exactly what he's going for.
Okay.
Like, I think you're making fun of him, but that is 100% what he's trying to say.
Why crocodile? Are you sure it wasn't like alligator? Does he know the difference?
He does.
Okay. I'll take his word then.
He's a learned scholar, sir. He just couldn't go to college because the sun was in his eyes.
And his shoes were untied.
I could have gone to college, but like I was already so much smarter than all the professors. Like, what are they going to tell me that I don't already know?
Yeah. Archaeology, you just grab a shovel and you just start digging.
You just go out. Do you know if Lovecraft ever went to Arabia, like how fast he would have gotten his ass killed? In size, they approximate a small man, and their forelegs bore delicate and evidently flexible feet, curiously like human hands and fingers.
Flexible feet?
He's, okay, forelegs, right? Forelegs is arms on a person. So why is he saying... Okay, so obviously they have arms and hands. But in an effort to describe them as animals, instead of saying arms and hands, he's saying forelegs and feet. But I have never referred to a dog's feet. Dogs have paws. So if you said forelegs and paws, like a monkey's paw, which is a hand.
He only ever had one animal, and he named that, the word man was part of its name. So maybe he just didn't realize that, like, it wasn't a tiny fur-covered human who couldn't talk. Like, maybe that's what he thought cats were. And so they have feet instead of paws. Same with dogs, right?
Oh, okay, but do you want to know what was strangest of all?
Oh my god, was there another part to this seal alligator?
But strangest of all were their heads, which presented a contour violating all known biological principles.
Okay.
To nothing can such things be well compared. In one flash I thought of comparisons as varied as the cat, the bulldog, and the mythic satyr.
It can't be compared to anything. And in
I'm
a
gonna
moment
compare
I
it to
thought of
four
a comparison.
Comparisons as varied as the cat, the bulldog, the mythic satyr, and the human being, which isn't the satyr just a human with horns? I mean, like from the neck
and
up.
Aren't all these things, like, none of them have weird, angulated whatever?
I don't know. Not Jove himself had so colossal and protuberant a forehead, yet the horns and the noselessness and the alligator-like jaws placed the things outside of all established categories. I debated for a time on the reality of the mummies, half suspecting they were artificial idols, but soon decided that they were indeed some Paleogean species which had lived when the nameless city was alive. To crown their grotesques, most of them were gorgeously enrobed with the costliest of fabrics, and lavishly laden with ornaments of gold, jewels, and unknown shining metals.
There are different metals there that aren't gold and jewels?
The importance of these crawling creatures must have been vast, for they held first place among the wild designs on the frescoed walls and ceiling. With matchless skill had the artists drawn them in a world of their own, wherein they had cities and gardens fashioned to suit their dimensions, and I could not but think that their pictured history was allegorical, perhaps showing the progress of the race that worshipped them. These creatures, I said to myself, were to the men of the nameless city what the she-wolf was to Rome, or some totem beast is to a tribe of Indians. Okay, well, there it is.
Whoa, buddy.
Yep, there it is. So, yeah, we're doing, the murals explain everything. We're doing that again.
Oh, God. Again?
Well, I think this
before or after?
this is actually before, so Mountains of Madness is actually doing it again. Holding this view, I thought I could trace a wonderful epic of the nameless city, the tale of a mighty seacoast metropolis that ruled the world before Africa rose out of the waves, and of its struggles as the sea shrank away and the desert crept into the fertile valley that held it. I saw its wars and triumphs, its troubles and defeats, and afterward its terrible fight against the desert when thousands of people, here represented in allegory by grotesque reptiles, were driven to chisel their way down through the rocks into some marvelous were driven to chisel their way through the rocks in some marvelous manner to another world whereof their prophets had told them. It was all vividly weird and realistic, and its connection with the awesome descent I had made.
It was weird.
And its connection with the awesome descent I had made was unmistakable. I even recognized the passages. We're doing exactly Mountains of Madness right now.
Yeah, and he's going to find a thing, and it's going to scare him, and he's going to run away. It's just Mountains of Madness 0.5 edition. It's the alpha version.
As I crept along the corridor toward a brighter light, I saw later stages of the painted epic. The leave-taking of the race that had dwelt in the nameless city and the valley around for 10 million years. The race whose souls shrank from quitting scenes. Their bodies from quitting scene... Okay, hang on, sorry, the weird wordiness is getting to me. The leave-taking of the race that had dwelt in the nameless city and the valley around for 10 million years. The race whose souls shrank from quitting the scenes their bodies had known for so long. Where they had settled as nomads in the earth's youth, hewing in the virgin rock those primal shrines at which they had never ceased to worship. Okay, we got through that.
All right.
Now that the light was better, I studied the pictures more closely, and remembering the strange reptiles must represent the unknown men, pondered upon the customs of the nameless city. Many of the things were peculiar and inexplicable. The civilization, which included a written alphabet, had seemingly risen higher under those immeasurably later civilizations. Okay, wait, sorry. The civilization which had included a written alphabet... God, he's learning a lot right now. Had seemingly risen to a higher order than those immeasurably later civilizations of Egypt and Chaldea. Yet, there were curious omissions. I could, for example, find no pictures to represent deaths or funeral customs, save such as were related to wars, violence, and
because
plagues.
Everything about a civilization can be discovered in a mural. And, like, I couldn't see what they did with their dead, as is custom to carve in a wall every time. The Egyptians did it, so everyone had to have done it, right? That's how this works.
Well, no, he's telling you right now that they're immortal.
Yeah, I know he's trying to tell me that. He's just doing it in a stupid way.
I don't disagree. I wondered at the reticence shown concerning natural death. It was as though It was as though an ideal of earthly immortality had been fostered as a cheering illusion. Those aren't mummies, dog. They're gonna come to life and eat you.
No, we both know that they're going to just start to stir, and he'll be like, oh, I'm out of here!
Still, nearer the end of the passage were painted scenes
Maybe he'll faint and he'll wake up at home.
of the utmost picturesqueness and extravagance. Contrasted the views of the nameless city and its desertion and growing ruin, and of the strange new realm or paradise to which the race had hewed its way through the stone. In these views, the city and the desert valley were shown always by moonlight, a golden nimbus hovering over the fallen walls and half revealing the splendid perfection of former times, shown spectrally and elusive by the artist. The paradisal scenes were almost too extravagant to be believed, portraying a hidden world of eternal day filled with glorious cities and ethereal hills and valleys. At the very last, I thought I saw signs of an artistic anticlimax. The paintings were less skillful. Oh my god, we're literally doing this again. The paintings were less skillful and much more bizarre than even the wildest of the earlier scenes. They seemed to record a slow decadence of the ancient stock. Oh god.
Yep, he had to get in. He had to get in some genetics in there.
Coupled with a growing ferocity to the outside world from which it was driven by the desert. The forms of the people, always represented by the sacred reptiles, appeared to be gradually wasting away, though their spirit, as shown hovering about the ruins by moonlight, gained in proportion. Emaciated priests displayed as reptiles in ornate robes cursed the upper air and all who breathed it, and one terrible final scene showed a primitive-looking man, perhaps a pioneer of the ancient Irem, the city of pillars, torn to pieces by members of the elder race. I remembered how the Arabs fear the nameless city, and was glad that beyond this place the grey walls and ceiling were bare. As I viewed the pageant of mural history, I had approached very closely the end of the low-ceiled hall, and was aware of the great gate through which came all of the illuminating phosphorescence. Creeping up to it, I cried aloud in transcendent amazement at what lay beyond, for instead of other and brighter chambers, there was only an
Illuminati. Yep, that's where they control the world from. Turns out the real monster was man all along.
There was only an illimitable void of uniform radiance, such as one might fancy when gazing down from the peak of Mount Everest upon a sea of sunlit mist. Beyond me was a passage so cramped that I could not stand upright in it. Before me was an infinity of subterranean effulgence.
Okay.
That's my favorite reaction. All right. Are you tortured yet? Are you feeling tortured?
Is there more?
There's a little more.
Okay.
we're getting there. We're almost done. Reaching down from the passage into the abyss was the head of a steep flight of steps.
Okay. All right. Is he afraid of these stairs too?
Small, numerous steps like those of the black passages I had traversed. But after a few feet, the glowing vapors concealed everything. Swung back open against the left-hand wall of the passage was a massive door of brass, incredibly thick and decorated with fantastic bas-reliefs, which could, if closed, shut the whole inner world alight. I'm going to stop doing the voice. Which could, if closed, shut the whole inner world of light away from the vaults and passages of rock. I looked at the steps, and for the nonce dared not to try them. I touched the open brass door and could not move it. I then sank prone to the stone floor, my mind aflame with prodigious reflections which not even a death-like exhaustion could banish. As I lay still with eyes closed, free to ponder many things, I had lightly noted in the frescoes... As I closed my eyes, free to ponder many things I had lightly noted in the frescoes came back to me with a new and terrible significance. Scenes representing the nameless city in its heyday, the vegetation of the valley around it, and the distant lands with which its merchants traded. The allegory of the crawling creatures puzzled me by its universal prominence, and I wondered that it should be so closely followed in a pictured history of such importance. In the frescoes of the nameless city had been shown in proportions fitted to the reptiles. I wondered what its real proportions and magnificence might have been, and reflected a moment on certain oddities I had noticed in the ruins. I thought curiously of the lowness of the primal temples, and of the underground corridor, which were doubtless hewn thus out of deference to the reptile deities, though it perforce reduced the worshippers to crawling. Perhaps the very rites had involved a crawling, an imitation of the creatures. No religious theory, however, could easily explain why the level passages in that awesome descent should be as low as the temples, or lower, since one could not even kneel in it. As I thought of the crawling creatures whose hideous mummified forms were so close to me, I felt a new throb of fear.
Dear. Keep that inside of your pants, sir.
Mental associations are curious, and I shrank from the idea that, except for the poor primitive man torn to pieces in the last painting, mine was the only human form amidst the many relics and symbols of primordial life. But as always in my strange and roving existence, wonder soon drove out fear.
I don't buy this for a second, because you're afraid to go outside, but yeah.
For the luminous abyss and what it might contain presented a problem worthy of the greatest explorer. That a weird world of mystery lay far down that flight of peculiar small steps, I could not doubt, and I hoped to find there those human memorials which the painted corridor had failed to give. Because there's no humans, the frescoes must be missing something. But like death rites, where are those? The frescoes had pictured unbelievable cities, hills, and valleys in this lower realm, and my fancy dwelt on the rich, colossal ruins that awaited me. My fears indeed concerned the past rather than the future, not even the physical horror of my position in that cramped corridor of dead reptiles and antediluvian frescoes, miles below the world I knew, and faced by another world of eerie light and mist, could match that lethal dread I felt at the abysmal antiquity of the scene and its soul. An ancientness so vast that an ancientness so fast that measurement is feeble. Measurement is feeble, seemed to leer down the primal stones and rock-hewn temples in the nameless city. While the vast and latest astounding maps in the frescoes showed oceans and continents that man had forgotten, with only here and there some vaguely familiar outline of what could have happened in the geological eons since the painting, and the death-hating race resentfully succumbed to decay, no man might say. Life had once teemed in these caverns and in the luminous realms beyond, and now I was alone with vivid relics, and I trembled to think of the countless ages through which these relics had kept silent and deserted vigil. Oh my god. Are we going to get to something happening?
No.
Suddenly there came another burst of acute fear which had intermittently seized me ever since I saw the terrible valley and the nameless city under the cold moon. Despite my exhaustion, I found myself starting frantically to a sitting posture and gazing back along the black corridor towards the tunnels that rose to the outer world. My sensations were much like those which had made me shun the nameless city at night, and were as inexplicable as they were poignant. In another moment, however, I received we're finishing this. In another moment,
it turns out the twist was you actually have fallen into a coma, and the framing device of you kidnapping me was just to trick your brain, and you are in fact in hell, and you have to read Lovecraft.
I'm kidding. We're so close. We're so close to the end. Oh god. Okay. I received a still greater shock in the form of a definite sound. Something's happening.
Oh my god, is it a Shogoth?
The first of which
one of the little people.
The first of which had broken the utter silence of the tomb-like depths. It was a low moaning, as of a distant throng of condemned spirits, and came from the direction in which I was staring. Its volume...
It was the most horrible thing I've ever heard in my life.
Its volume grew rapidly, till soon it reverberated frightfully through the low passage, and at the same time I became conscious of an increasing draught of cold air, likewise flowing from the tunnels in the city above. The touch of this air seemed to restore my balance, for I instantly recalled the sudden gusts which had risen around the mouth of the abyss each sunset and sunrise, one of which had indeed served to reveal the hidden tunnels to me. I looked at my watch and saw that sunrise was near, so I braced myself to resist the gale.
Wait, so he did check his watch.
He just now he checked his watch. So I braced myself to resist the gale which was sweeping down into its cavern home as it had swept forth at evening. My fear again waned low, since a natural phenomenon tends to dispel broodings over the unknown. More and more madly poured the shrieking, moaning night wind into the gulf of the inner earth. I dropped prone again and clutched vainly at the floor for fear of being swept bodily through the open gate into the phosphorescent abyss. Such fury I had not expected, and as I grew aware of an actual slipping of my form towards the abyss, I was beset by 1,000 new terrors of apprehension and imagination. The malignancy of the blast awakened incredible fancies. Once more I compared myself shudderingly to the only human image in that frightful corridor, the man who was torn to pieces by the nameless race. For in the fiendish clawing of the swirling currents there seemed to abide a vindictive rage, all the stronger because it was largely impotent.
Okay.
I think I screamed frantically near the last. I was almost mad.
I think.
But if I did so, my cries were lost in the hell-born babble of the howling wind wraiths. I tried to crawl against the murderous invisible torment. But I could not even hold my own as I was pushed slowly and inexorably toward the unknown world. Final reason must have wholly snapped, for I fell to babbling over and over that unexplainable couplet of the mad Arab Alhazred, who dreamed of the nameless city.
Damn it, stop!
That is dead. That is not dead which can eternal lie, and with strange aeons even death may die.
He whipped out his tattoo, his edgy tattoo.
That's actually where the story ends. No, that's not in order. I was just reading ahead a little bit to get my bearings.
Wait, that's where the story ends?
No, there's a little more, but it doesn't end much more satisfactorily than this. So. Only the grim, brooding desert gods know what really took place, what indestructible struggles and scrambles in the dark that I endured, or what Abaddon guided me back to life, where I must always remember and shiver in the night wind till oblivion or worse claims me. Monstrous, unnatural, colossal was the thing, too far beyond all the ideas of man to be believed except in the silent, damnable small hours when one cannot sleep. I have said that the fury of the rushing blast was infernal. I don't know this word. Cacodemonical? And that its voices were hideous with the pent-up viciousness of desolate eternities. Presently those voices, while still chaotic before me, seemed to my beating brain to take articulate form behind me, and down here in the grave of unnumbered aeon-dead antiquities, leagues below the dawn-lit world of men, I heard the ghastly cursing
Roar.
and the snarling of strange-tongued fiends. Turning, I saw outlined against the luminous aether of the abyss what could not be seen against the dusk of the corridor, a nightmare horde of rushing devils, hate-distorted, grotesquely panoplied, half-transparent, devils of a race no man might mistake.
Oh, wait, the cacao demons. That's a doom monster that you shoot.
Oh, that's neat. I guess H.P. Lovecraft played Doom. Anyway, so he saw a nightmare horde of Russian devils, hate-distorted, grotesquely panoplied, half-transparent, devils of a race no man might mistake, the crawling reptiles of the nameless city. It's them. It's the guys. It's your boys.
My god, they were alive, but what about these ones that were mummified?
They're ghosts, Nate. They're ghosts. Are you not getting that?
Okay. No, I'm not.
As the wind died away.
Translucent, so...
Okay.
So did their physical form die? But now
their physical form died.
So their heaven is to just live in the same city that they died in.
That's Lovecraft's heaven.
That makes a lot of sense.
And as the wind died away, I was plunged into the ghoul-peopled blackness of the earth's bowels. For behind the last of the creatures, the great brazen door clanged shut with a deafening peal of metallic music, whose reverberations swelled out to the distant world to hail the rising sun as Memnon hails it from the banks of the Nile. There was a giant symbol. It was the brass door.
Oh, okay.
That's the end of the story.
Wait, I thought he ran away or something.
No, all the ghosts go back into the door, and it slams behind them, and they just leave him there.
Okay, so he's just standing there, like, what the fuck was that? What just happened?
Yeah,
the end.
Yeah, so the ancient race turned themselves into ghosts.
Ghost aliens.
Yep, that's why they don't die. And now they come out at night, and they can't do anything to you, but they're real spooky. And... probably that's why the staircase frightens him so much, because he was actually in much more danger of being killed by falling down those stairs.
That makes a lot of sense. So when he redid this for the Mountains of Madness, he was like, maybe I should have some sort of like danger. How about a Shoggoth? Let's put them down there.
Yeah.
And what about giant penguins?
Yeah, let's just take a pot shot at penguins while we're at it. Those disgusting creatures. You know, maybe that's the thing with the penguins. Like, maybe Lovecraft actually thinks all animals are disgusting. Because, like, most people think penguins are cute. Most people think seals are cute. And yet, Lovecraft is like, they were disgusting. They were
hideous
shaped
to behold.
They were shaped like the hideous water beasts. I think Lovecraft has a fear of the ocean and all things contained within.
I mean, there's some scary stuff in the ocean.
There is, but he's and he's also afraid of that stuff. But he's afraid of like even the cute stuff. So yeah, I guess if I untie you, are you going to make this a big deal?
No.
No. You're not going to. Okay, we're not calling the cops or anything.
No, it's like how they couldn't track BTK through those floppy disks. My lips are sealed.
Wait a minute, they did track BTK through those floppy disks.
Oh, that was just my bad. I must be misremembering it. Plus, you'll need someone to edit this episode. I don't think you want to do it.
That's true. I don't want to edit it, so I guess I have to untie you. All right, I'll trust you. I'm untying you now. Okay.
I'm not sure why that sounded like you were unlocking something. Where are we? Are we all the way back in Pennsylvania? How am I going to get home?
Okay.
How did I even get here?
So, okay, thing is, I wanted to really immerse ourselves. So we're actually, and you might have noticed some of the oblong wooden glass shapes around us.
Oh, I thought those were just like Amish designs. Is that not what an Amish coffin looks like?
I have no idea. But I thought I rented a private plane. They did not check our passports when we landed. Thank God. I mean, you were in a suitcase. But we are actually in the heart of the Arabian desert. And
I wondered what that gust was.
Yeah.
It was like a gust that seemed to emanate from somewhere just off screen.
Yeah. So my vote is we go get ourselves one of those really strong Arabian coffees, and we try to find our way back to America. You are going to have to go back in the suitcase because I did not think to bring your passport.
Okay, so let's let's just take these mummies, okay, and we can sell them. They grind up human mummies for like powder that you snort or whatever. So I'm sure
we could sell them for like
pretty good
Chinese
deal off
medicine.
these.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I'm in. Are we even going to keep doing words about books? Or are we just going to go into the mummy trade?
Yeah, I think we quit our day jobs, quit words about books, and we just sell alien mummies on the black market from now on.
Is there can we just put a padlock on that big bronze door over there?
You know what we could do? We could push a bunch of the coffins in front of it. Lovecraft said they were fastened to the wall, but they move really easy. He was extraordinarily weak.
That's true. Also, these ceilings are much lower than described.
Oh yeah, no, I had to army crawl. I actually tied you to my ankle and just dragged you through. You were unconscious for a very long time. That was like a 12-hour flight.
Yeah, that's probably why I feel so rested and refreshed.
All right.
I didn't have a baby waking me up. So.
Yeah, see, so in many ways, I just brought you on vacation.
Yeah, sweet. All right, let's grab these mummies, push those coffins up against that door.
And, while we're transporting the mummies, Nate, what are we reading on the plane ride home?
On the plane ride back, we're going to be reading The Dragon Republic, but we won't be talking about it on the podcast because it is definitely over, and this is the final episode because we're going into the mummy trade business. So, bye everyone. Stay tuned after the end credits to hear how it all turned out or whatever. Bye, later. Ben Edward was turned in for kidnapping by Nate and was awarded a Medal of Honor. Turns out that part of the world looks favorably on that sort of thing. He was arrested, however, for being a ginger. He had to pawn his medal and all of his mummies to make bail. He returned to Pennsylvania and continues to work with computers to this day. The nameless protagonist made it back home from the desert despite having no camo or basic survival skills. He could never bring himself to look at stairs the same way again. He started a New England seal clubbing business, which was almost immediately shut down by local law enforcement. He died in prison at age 36 after falling down an elevator shaft. Nathaniel Creed hastily snorted as much powdered mummy as he could before confiscation by local authorities. His traumatic brain injury miraculously healed. He was forced to return to the United States in a suitcase to avoid international customs. Unfortunately, the luggage he was hiding in was lost in transit. He now roams the eastern United States, diagnosing people with mental illness in order to make enough money to come home. Scott never came back to the Words About Books stream, even after being assured they were, quote, good now. His whereabouts remain unknown to this very day. Morgan recorded a voiceover for Words About Books that remained unused. She's currently plotting her revenge. Not a day goes by that I don't think of Words About Books. You can buy them a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/WABpod. Read additional show notes and content on blog.wordsaboutbooks.ninja or tweet them at WABpod. They plan on streaming Halo Combat Evolved every Monday and, because the mummy trade fell through, must begrudgingly return to the podcast.